Hello everyone, welcome back to Cruel Unusual Storytime. I am your host, Simon Dexter. Feels good to be in the chair today, believe it or not, because yesterday was shitty. It was plain shit-tastic. Not gonna get into my sob story. It's not what this channel's for. I'm not here to unload luggage on you guys. But it was pretty fucking bad. Like, I almost didn't post a video just because of it. That's how bad it was. I was planning a cop-out in my head. But, you know, I kind of got through the day, and I kind of got over myself, and I realized, you know what, people on YouTube pay good money to see my show. I should put in all the effort to... What? What are you doing here? Can't you see I'm recording a thing? People on YouTube don't pay good money to see my show? The fuck am I doing this for? Gotcha. Unless you closed out the video and you're gone, in which case... Damn, I'm a better actor than I thought I was. So, but yeah, in all seriousness, no, I got over myself, and I realized, you know what? I have very little to be a whiny little bitch about. I live pretty much by my own rules. I have this fucking kick-ass YouTube show. I know it's not huge or anything, but I love it. And I love doing this for you guys. As long as I'm entertaining someone, anyone, doesn't matter, then I guess I have something to look forward to on Fridays and Sundays. Now, enough of that. We are resuming in Unknown Clutches. If you're new, I've been reading this for a few weeks now. I'm going to leave a link to the playlist right at the top of the description. So you can just scroll down and it'll take you to the playlist of the first episode, hopefully. And then you can just watch the whole damn thing, and I'll see you when you're caught up. Because, yeah, most of my videos that have stories that have more than one part do have a playlist, except for Dipper Goes to Taco Bell, because that's just 2 parts, and you know. Anyway, so let's quit dicking around. Let's read this fucking thing, shall we? Sit back, relax, and let's resume in Unknown Clutches. Well, here's hoping that this chapter is really short, so I can just read the next 2 chapters like it was nothing. I doubt it, but I can have high hopes, right? Author's note. I apologize for the late update, but here it is. I seriously don't believe I am publishing this. Blushes furiously. Oh, are we finally getting to some action? Good, because that's just what we all wanted. Ah, well. Thanks to the reviewers and awesome people who convinced me to write this scene, you sick perverts. Okay, chapter 3. Gwen, I want you to break up with Kevin. Oh, forgot we were here. What? Gwen stared at the boy incredulously. What the hell are you talking about? Heck, Gwendolyn. Heck. Ben seemed unaffected by her irritation, talking calmly as though discussing the weather. You heard me break up with that guy. Why? Because he doesn't love you. He's only lusting after you. Probably. Gwen was shocked, not believing her cousin's words. Are you serious, Ben? Stop assuming nonsensical things. Kevin doesn't lust after me. If he doesn't, he's not a male. Why can't he? Ben crossed his arms over his chest, still as calm as ever. Any guy can, Gwen. You're smart, brave, have a good sense of humor, not to mention sexy as hell. Benjamin. Mind yourself. Gwen lowered her hands from her hips, this time folding her arms around her middle, as though to hide from the brunette's penetrating gaze. For the love of God, they're still just using hair colors to identify other characters. That'd be fucking crazy. Okay. Did Ben just say that I was sexy? Like, millions of nerdy 10-year-olds haven't fantasized about that. She felt heat rise up in her cheeks, and for a moment tried to feel angry at the brown-haired cousin. I swear to God. Instead, as she met his eyes, he winked. He winked! God forbid. Stop behaving like a freaking weirdo, Ben. Thank you, Gwen, for using some nice PC language. Gwen suddenly yelled, partially to blame her pink cheeks as anger-induced blushing instead. I don't blush when I'm angry. I just shout a lot. And a lot. Ben just chuckled, suddenly, climbing off the bed to walk towards her. It's the sedative. I know you're not to blame, but can you please try and control yourself here? Gwen, you know why you're here. You know what that stuff does. Just play the game so this is over with, okay? You're only prolonging the inevitable. Gwen kept yelling, trying to ignore the slowly advancing Ben. I know it seems like I'm excited for the sex. I realize how I'm sounding now that I think about it. But I really just want this to be over. And all it does is keep prolonging and arguing. And it's like, mentally, this is a jigsaw situation. You don't get a choice. You just gotta kind of do your thing or die. So yeah. Oh, well, you all think I'm a pervert now. Anyway. Okay, there we go. Gwen kept yelling, trying to ignore the slowly advancing Ben. She promptly turned around, crossing her arms over her chest and huffing angrily. Aren't you wearing like a hospital gown? Turning around doesn't seem wise to me. The deep chuckles ho, 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 from behind her made her strangely want to smile too, but her resolve remained thankfully strong. His voice isn't that deep, is my joke here. At least not any of the versions I've seen. Until she felt strong arms wrap around her waist, pulling flat against the hard body behind her. She makes it sound like he's ripped, but the only alien bodies worked out are ones that aren't his. You're so cute when you're grumpy and ready to kill. I might be having just a little bit of fun. Sue me. Ben's voice was husky. His breath tickled her left ear. He took advantage of her frozen stances. To brush her long hair away from the shoulder, nuzzling into her sweet-smelling skin, inhaling deeply. Gwen was surprised to hear her voice suddenly become breathless. Oh, my. To our younger audiences, if you would like to watch something more wholesome, just watch Happy Appy instead. I only say fuck about 500 times. Realizing that she was subconsciously leaning into him. You smell delicious, Gwen. It's always been my goal, if there's a sensual scene, to make it not as sensual as possible. Ben nuzzled continuously, his breath constantly tickling her skin. Ben, stop. Gwen, with a force she didn't know she was capable of producing, pulled away from her cousin. Depressingly, she wished she was back in his embrace. It's a set of making us feel things that are not actually there. Just... I know, but this would be a lot shorter if they just fucking do what they're supposed to do. I know it's not realistic to want to fuck your cousin unless you're in the South. No offense to my Southern viewers. But, come on. Just get it over with so I don't have time to read. A deafening silence suddenly fell upon the circular room. Gwen trembled lightly as the boy in front of her stared continuously at her, whether from unexplained dread or anticipation. She didn't know. Gwen, Ben replied quietly, though she could feel anger radiate out of his every pore. Was it you who wanted to carry on, even when I didn't give up fighting? Weren't you the one convincing me we should escape alive by having sex? He has a mild point, I'm just saying. The story would be a lot shorter if they just quit bitching. Much like my videos. Gwen winced at the blunt way Ben said that, again feeling heat rise up her neck and cheeks. I. She stammered away from him in shame. I did, and it seems like the only way to buy our freedom. Then end this for all of us, please. I'd like a fast and painless death, if you don't mind. Then Ben said softly, nearing towards her like a cat about to jump on its prey, "Stop blaming the sedative." But it is the sedative, right? Right? It's the sedative. Don't give us that. He slipped an arm around her waist and pressed her back against the smooth, cream-colored walls. Be thankful instead, as it made everything actually easier for us. No. Okay, that's actually a valid argument. My apologies. Gwen gasped lightly at the action, and even more breathless sound escaping her face when she felt Ben's free hand slither down her stomach and seductively rub the side of her leg. Okay, kids, now's the time you need to go. Or stay, I don't care. I'll corrupt you. I'll corrupt the fuck out of you. Just know I'm gonna be saying it in either the flattest voice ever or as silly as possible, just because. To all you people who have your hands down your pants, first take them out. Fucking perverts. Secondly, I like reading these as much as you like listening to these. Okay, let's just do this. The brunette caught her gasping a rough but passionate kiss. He pressed his body against hers. Gwen quietly moaned into his kiss as she loosely placed her hands on his hips. When they broke apart, Ben gazed into her emerald green eyes with a wicked smile on his face. Do I look sexy, kids? This is what sex looks like, believe it or not. This is why I don't get laid very often. That actually wasn't so bad. Gwen could not speak, nor did she want to. It was as though she stopped resisting the damn red liquid in her system, finally, letting the full effects of the sedative claim her mind, body, and soul. So instead of pushing away from him, she pushed him backwards roughly until his legs hit the edge of the vast bed. This is so wrong, she breathed breathlessly, but so right. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm just trying to make this more awkward, I guess, so it's funny at least. Climbing over him and kissing his warm lips, but it feels I didn't need to say anything. She said it for me. But it feels so right, stupid sedative. She snuggled into his chest, reveling in his unique scent. I thought she spelled revealing wrong. It was so different, so exotic and spicy. Girls, if you're smelling your man and he smells spicy, he need to take a fucking shower. Just between you and me. Made him feel much more attractive to her senses. Could have been that purifying water, too. Ben laughed lightly, feeling immensely aroused, and the dominating Gwen. See, now she's dominating and strong. Not earlier, go figure. He tangled his hands into her long, silky red hair, growling lightly as she... People who growl during sex are hilarious. As she nipped at the sensitive skin on his collarbone. Instantly, he reversed the positions, letting Gwen fall on the bed, hair fanning around her like fire. "Gwen," Ben said huskily. "Oh, Gwen," Ben said huskily, sliding his hand underneath the flimsy gown she wore. "I meant it when I said you were sexy." He lightly scratched her back, receiving a shiver and moan in return. Because nothing's sexier than having my back scratched. I'm sorry. That didn't click immediately. Anyway. Gwen kissed the brunette's neck again, sucking on some parsley marks on the muscled flesh. Nothing sexier than a muscled neck. She felt the palm of a hand caress the front of her breast before squeezing it gently. Okay, I really need to be more silly around this part now. A second hand joining on the neglected other. Lust and frustrating hunger for her cousin made her moan softly, letting her hands wander over Ben's defined chest muscles. She wondered why she never noticed how nicely built he was before. "Ben," she moaned aloud, his teasing frustration more than ever. Ben chuckled again, hearing her pant as he continued the arousing notion of her body. He felt overjoyed to feel her accepting his touch in one fluid motion. He pulled off her gown and threw it off the bed. "I apologize, especially to the Southerners I am insulting with my very poor dialect." His green eyes gazing at her blow him in admiration. "You're so beautiful." Gwen stared into the identical green eyes of the boy above her. She felt so happy and emotional to see the admiration for her in Ben's eyes. "Were you blind before?" she asked him teasingly, to which he grinned. "Kevin is one lucky bastard." Ben looked into her eyes despite the dark, as he lay on top of her, propping his body up by nothing more than his elbows and forearms, his lips moving over hers again, causing her to shiver.
Gwen felt no guilt at the mention of her boyfriend's name. In fact, she vaguely realized all her rational thoughts and abandoned her. Right now, everything that was happening, everything that she felt, seemed perfectly normal. Somewhere, my apologies, in the back of her mind, she knew she could not resist anything. The sedative had consumed her system, building lust inside her by every second, and Ben, he looked far from stopping. Instead, every look that he shared with her scorched her with his burning desire. He seemed too fogged in hunger for her. Gwen, again, blamed the double amount of sedative that ran through his body. Actually, she was rather thankful, annoyed that she was the one who, without clothes, she quickly pulled down the long zipper that was at the back of Ben's gown. Were they not hospital gowns? This is my very poor Indian accent, if you were wondering. I usually do better than this. This is embarrassing. I'm in front of the whole fucking YouTube audience, and I can't do my Indian dialect very good. It's obnoxious. Yeah, wasn't it a hospital gown? Wouldn't it be like a tie, not a zipper? Whatever.
Breaking from the kiss, she pulled the fabric over the brunette's head, throwing it away as she could. In such a hurry, huh? Ben's teasing tone made her stare at his face. His brown hair was tousled, green eyes sparkling with heat, and a naughty smile adoring his lips. Please, Ben, I know you can't hold back too.
Indeed, Gwen felt Ben's hard member. Oh, God. Now I stopped doing the voices. Brush against her abdomen, and she knew that it soon would be time for the ultimate act of love. Finding the aliens... Why are the alien parts still in quotes? They're fucking aliens. Accept it. We get what she always wanted from them. Finally, they would be able to go home. Trying to remember what other voices I have in my arsenal. Ben groaned from the ache of the pressure caused, and Gwen cupped his face before placing a quick kiss on his lips. Her other hand slid down the palm. I can't do any more voices. I'm out. We're screwed, guys. We're fucking screwed. Moved under him, laying back on the upper part of his bed. Up to the upper part of his head. As she pulled him with her, she hooked her legs on his waist and crossed them on his back, giving him full access to her delicate entrance. The tip of his member only inches away. He pushed his hips forward into her. Oh, I totally skipped the part. Pardon me. Ben brushed the silky hair away from Gwen's emerald eyes and smiled tenderly before the distance between them, feeling a whole new world of pleasure. He pushed his hips forward into her, and Gwen gasped, body tensing as he slid himself into her one blissfully satisfying inch at a time. Oh my God. He pushed until most of him was inside of her heated center. Then, just as slowly, almost as teasingly slow, Ben pulled backwards by the very tip of him, meeting the very beginnings of her before her. He slowly worked himself all the way inside again. Oh, God, Gwen cried, wiggling her hips as body begin. I should actually probably read these before I try doing these in voices. Wiggling her hips. Body begging for Ben to pick up speed before she voiced it on her own. Harder, Ben. Please, harder. I'm trying to think of voices. I'm totally out. His own body trembling from the heat of the depth of Gwen's body. Ben gladly followed her instructions. He groaned in bliss as her tight entrance tried to resist the speed of him as he delved with her as fast as she could. Her moaning and whispering of his name as she rocked in rhythmic motion were the only things that occupied his mind. His partner, his cousin. and himself were moving in perfect unison. He wanted to feel disgusted, ashamed, and all he could think about was how right this felt. He was no stranger to all this. In fact, he and Julie had been intimate for a couple of times before. I doubt that because it's a kid's show. You sick bastards. He had felt amazing every time they had joined together. Nothing beat this feeling. It was indescribable. So either he's really into incest, or that sedative is awesome for your sex life. I don't know. Ben tightly shut his eyes, feeling a budding pressure build within him, as it fiercely threatened to overwhelm him. At the end, the beautiful thing they'd started, and he damn sure wasn't going to let that happen, not until he was sure Gwen had gotten the full pleasure she desired first. That's a real man, ladies and gentlemen. Always please your lady first. Abruptly he stopped his thrusts and withdrew himself from the redhead woman's depths. Smiling lightly as Gwen's lips pouted at her sudden loss of him, she narrowed her eyes as if to say, "You incite me. Now, finish him!" Okay, I think we're nearing the end of this, I swear to God, because I can only read so much of this shit. Ben lightly kissed her soft lips, before entering her slowly again, reveling in her satisfied shy. Satisfied is a very difficult word in Sean Connery dialect. Ah well. He thrust slowly, as though trying to find the exact spot that would make her scream. Sure enough, he angled his thrust just so, and instantly she began screaming in pleasure. I can't read for the life of me today, I am so sorry. Thrust for thrust, she met him, each one stroking her core dead on. "But Ben," she gasped, clutching onto his back as though afraid he would let go. "Don't stop, please. Oh, Allah!" But it didn't say Allah. "Who said I would stop, Gwen?" Ben smiled against the skin, proud that he could make her satisfied. "I wouldn't dream of it." Everything inside her began to feel tighter as Ben picked up the pace. His breathing was short, and his pushes became longer. Gwen felt her muscles contract tighter as the pleasure rose and rose. With a few well-placed thrusts, Gwen felt her climax reach its toll. She buried her face in the crook of his sweet-smelling neck as she held back her cries, her lips bucking from her hips bucking. I suck at this. Why do I do this for a living? Why do you watch me? I just suck at reading. Her hips bucking from her uncontrollable muscles. She let her hands wildly rove around the teenage hero's smooth back and arms, sobbing with intense pleasure. Wow. Sobbing with intense pleasure? So sobbing with intense pleasure as he hit her spot continuously. With a few more quick movements, Ben let out a deep groan before going in to a short, quick thrust, his orgasm thundering through his body like an avalanche. Although wearing protection, we haven't really thought about that, have we? Oh dear. Always wear protection, by the way. It keeps you from getting STDs and having children, which the world needs less children. We should just all die out. Just go extinct. No babies for any of you. Like an avalanche, kissed Gwen deeply, nibbling on her lower lips as the tremors passed him in waves. I think we're done with this finally, because after the guy goes, he usually can't go again. Very soon. It took them both a long while to settle down from the high of their orgasms. Gwen stared up into the green eyes full of passion, lightly combing her fingers through Ben's messy brown hair. Her gaze fell to his lips, which looked red and swollen from intense kissing. Because that happens. Totally. I've seen it happen with every single girl I've kissed. Wow, he breathed, still quite shaken. Gwen, head buried on his shoulders again, giggled lightly. Ben, don't you feel very uncomfortable knowing that those creatures saw everything? I mean, this room is full of recording machines to capture every detail of this movement. That made it better for me, baby. Ben slowly detached himself from her, rolling off to lay by her side. Really? How come I couldn't see any? They've had them the whole time. The whole time. They even said so. Down to him, Gwen pointed at the corners of the room, of the ceilings, and various parts of the walls. Ben's eyes followed her finger. Observing every one of the devices she pointed out, they were small and so perfectly hidden that he was surprised she could even notice them. He turned his head to face her, a lopsided grin on his face. Makes me feel as though I've done a pornographic film. Let's call it a porno, yeah. Sick, probably. Hey Gwen, what if there are actually not aliens but perverted, dirty old men who... That would take a lot of talent. And they would not explain the weird cleansing water and the sedatives. Ben, Gwen laughed loudly at her cousin's silly assumption. Knowing that he meant it as a joke, she bumped her head up one elbow, looking down into his face that she was so familiar with. You know, we'll probably be free now. Thank God this is almost over. Well, not for me, apparently. Ben's smile suddenly faltered as he stared up into his cousin's happy face. Yeah, he slowly replied, back, looking away. Ben, what's wrong? It's a one-time thing. You have a girl. Deal with it. Gwen cupped his cheek with one hand, feeling the hints of stubble prick her. Don't you want to go back? Are you feeling disgusted by what happened? Ben turned to meet her eyes. She found herself being pulled down to him by the back of her neck. She felt surprised as the brunette kissed her hardly and fiercely. Wow. Not something I really use to describe a kiss, but whatever. The complete opposite of what they had been sharing before. Doofus, Ben mumbled as he pulled her away, smiling lightly. He nuzzled into her neck as he loved to do, scratching Gwen's soft neck with his light stubble. I'm sad not because of what happened, but because of what I want to keep doing. We can never forget what happened between us, however we wish to. At least this isn't Dipper Goes to Taco Bell. This could be considerably worse, if you ask me. Gwen let half of her body rest atop her cousin's hard form, burying her face in the soft brown curls that smell so intoxicating. His hair's not curly. It's kind of scruffy sometimes, but it's not curly. She felt ticklish as Ben kept rubbing against her neck like a cat. Because that's really hot, ladies, if your guy nuzzles you like a cat. It's kind of cute when girls do it, though. I don't know. His breath occasionally tickling her skin as well, yet her smile had now vanished, a frown appearing between her forehead. She knew what Ben said was true. Nothing would ever be the same between them anymore. I don't want to forget, then. It's a special secret between you and me. Oh, I actually think we're at the end. Thank you, Jesus. Ben let his hands tangle into the long orange-red hair. It's just red. Yep. Descriptive bastard. Smiling at Gwen's exclamation despite feeling like crap. He started to feel dizzy again and vaguely realized that the sight was become blurry. That his sight was become blurry. I'm so glad we can find these little nuggets of typo just hiding in the text. And that's not actually my fault. As though he looking through a mist. Through a mist? Through mist. You're right, he replied, pulling the girl closer to him. It's our secret. No matter what, you'll always be my Gwenny. He felt pretty stupid saying embarrassing things like this, but when he felt his cousin's soft laughter vibrate onto him, he knew it was worth it. "And you," Gwen replied sleepily, her eyes drifting closed, "will always be my doofus cousin, who I've probably got impregnated by because I don't think they were wearing a condom." Oh wait, did that shit make them not sterile? That would make sense, the cleansing water making them not sterile. In an alien sci-fi sort of way, you know? Makes sense to me. Maybe that's it. Hopefully that will be the case, because otherwise they are in for a ride. She felt Ben's smile against her skin before letting the sudden tiredness claim her body. The room felt slightly chillier, and she snuggled closer to the body beneath for warmth. "Ben, I'm so lucky to have you here with me. Never let me go, or it'll be your dick on a platter." Ben felt cold suddenly, hugging Ben closer for warmth. She seemed to have fallen asleep, so Ben carefully laid her back on the bed. That was when he realized something was definitely wrong. It was not his eyes that had problems. The room itself looked like it was filled with thin fog. "What?" Ben panicked, turning to stare at the hidden cameras in the wall. "What's going on?" "Fooled you. We're gonna kill you anyway. Ha ha." That'd be the best twist ever. No, it wouldn't, but it'd be funny to me. "Stop panicking, human." Ben heard the familiar alien voice reverberate through the room. He turned to Gwen, expecting her to wake up, and was worried when she didn't. "I repeat, what the hell is going on?" "We are sending you back to Earth," came the simple reply, causing Ben to narrow his eyes in mistrust. "They gave us details we required, and we dutifully shall give you back your freedom." "And why is Gwen not waking up? What is the fog in the room? What is anything, really?" "Those are sleep-inducing fumes which will cause you both to drift into a deep, dreamless sleep. Also has the properties to cause selective amnesia to your minds, triggering your memories to disappear." "You mean," Ben said in a shocked voice, suddenly too tired to keep shouting and keep his eyes open, "neither I nor Gwen will remember this day? It's for the best, buddy, trust me. Like, seriously." "Hopefully," said the alien. "See, I really don't even need to talk. These guys do it for me." Ben lay back on his bed, frowning as the suspicious mist swirled around the room. True to what the creature said, he felt instantly sleepy. At first he tried to fight back the urge to close his eyes. He didn't really want to forget this incident. Yes, sick bastard. Feeling extremely depressed with himself when he realized he had enjoyed the whole thing. You sick bastard. Slowly, as his body felt heavier, he came to accept that maybe what had happened was in fact good for the both of them. Ben turned his face to see his cousins. She was so beautiful when asleep, no frown lines marring her innocent face. Ben subconsciously tried to remember the picture she made there as she lay on her pillow, her red hair fanned around pillow and on his chest. "Too bad, Gwen," he thought grimly, feeling slightly disappointed. "Our secret will actually have to stay safe. Neither of us will remember it anyway." Then, without further thoughts or feelings, he felt his eyes close and the world suddenly go blank. So that was chapter 3. It's okay if you don't want to make eye contact with me after this video and after that sex scene. In fact, if you were to completely unsubscribe, I would kind of understand, really. But we have one more chapter to go. I'll read that next week. If you have any suggestions for future fan fiction to read on the Sunday segments, please leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, especially if you're not subscribed already, because if you are already subscribed, that would be dumb to subscribe again. And I will see you all on Friday for more Patrick's Diabetes. Yay me. Take care, everyone.